Hello viewers! In this video, we are going to talk about the beginning of humanity, earth, life and the universe creation in Egyptian mythology and the gods and goddesses of Egyptian civilization. Egypt has one of the largest and complex pantheons of gods of any civilization in the ancient world. For thousands of years, Egypt's gods and goddesses were worshipped. The gods and goddesses of ancient Egypt were an integral part of the people's everyday lives. It is not surprising then that there was over 2,000 deities in the Egyptian pantheon. Some of these deities' names are well known: Isis, Osiris, Horus, Amun-Ra, Hathor, Bastet, Thoth, Anubis, including Geb, Nut, Tefnut and Shu. The more famous gods became state deities while others were associated with a specific region or in some cases a ritual or role. Mythology of creation. In the beginning, the world appeared as an infinite expanse of dark and directionless waters, named None. Ra created himself out of none by an effort of will or by uttering his own name. As the creator of the gods and humans, he was responsible for bringing order to the heavens and the earth. According to pyramid texts written on the walls of pyramids, the creator god emerged from the chaotic darkness of None as a mythical Bennu bird. At a time, the Egyptians called Zep the first time, Atum created two offsprings. His son Shu represented dry air and his daughter Tefnut represented corrosive moist air. The gods and goddesses of Egyptian civilization. Amun-Ra, one of several deities associated with the sun, the god Ra was usually represented with a human body and a head of a hawk. It was believed that he sailed across the sky in a boat each day and then made a passage through the underworld each night, during which he would have to defeat the snake god Apophis in order to rise again. Ra's cult was centered in Heliopolis, now a suburb of Cairo. Shu and Tefnut. Shu is a male god who is paired with his sister Tefnut. Together, they represent two fundamental principles of human existence. Shu symbolizes dry air and the force of preservation. Tefnut symbolizes moist or corrosive air that brings about change, creating the concept of time. Shu and Tefnut are the offspring of Ra, a primeval cosmic god, Geb and Nut. These two gods embody opposites. The earth god Geb, who represents dry land, is the husband of sky goddess Nut, who represents the sky, a mirror image of the watery sea. Nut is portrayed as a woman with an arched body covered with stars. She is the daughter of Shu and Tefnut. The goddess Hathor. Hathor was usually depicted as a cow, as a woman with the head of a cow, or as a woman with cow's ears. Hathor embodied motherhood and fertility, and it was believed that she protected women in childbirth. She also had an important funerary aspect, being known as the Lady of the West. Hathor is also believed to be ascended with Ra and became his mythological wife and thus divine mother of the pharaohs. The chronology of Hathor is very confusing, as she also depicted as the daughter of Ra and Nut, the mother of Horus, the wife of Horus, and the wet nurse to Horus' child. Osiris. Osiris is one of the most important Egypt's deities. He was god of the underworld. He also symbolized death, resurrection, and the cycle of Nile floods that Egypt relied on for agricultural fertility. According to the myth, Osiris was a king of Egypt who was murdered and dismembered by his brother Seth. His wife Isis reassembled his body and resurrected him, allowing them to conceive a son, the god Horus. He was represented as a mummified king, wearing wrappings that left only the green skin of his hands and face exposed. Isis. The origins of Isis are obscure. Unlike many gods, she can be tied to a specific town, and there are no certain mentions of her in the earliest Egyptian literature. Over time, she grew in importance, though eventually becoming the most important goddess in the pantheon, as the devoted wife who resurrected Osiris after his murder and raised their son. Horus, Isis embodied the traditional Egyptian virtues of a wife and mother. Isis was one of the last of the ancient Egyptian gods to still be worshipped. Horus. The god Horus depicted as a falcon or as a man with a falcon's head. Horus was a sky god associated with war and hunting. He was also the embodiment of the divine kingship, and in some eras the reigning king was considered to be a manifestation of Horus. According to the Osiris myth, Horus was son of Isis and Osiris, magically conceived after the murder of Osiris by his brother Seth. Horus was raised to avenge his father's murder. One tradition holds that Horus lost his eye fighting with Seth, but his eye was magically healed by the god Thoth. Seth was the god of chaos, violence, deserts, and storms. In the Osiris myth, he is the murderer of Osiris. Seth's appearance poses a problem for Egyptologists. He is often depicted as an animal or as a human with the head of an animal, but they can't figure out what animal he is supposed to be. Many scholars now believe that no such animal ever existed, and that the Seth animal is some sort of mythical composite. Anubis. Anubis was concerned with funerary practices and the care of the dead. He was usually represented as a jackal or as a man with the head of a jackal. The association of jackals with death and funerals likely arose because Egyptians would have observed jackals scavenging around cemeteries. Thoth, the god of writing and wisdom, could be depicted in the form of baboon or sacred ibis or as a man with the head of an ibis. He was believed to have invented language and the hieroglyphic script, and to serve as a scribe and advisor for the gods. As the god of wisdom, Thoth was said to possess knowledge of magic and secrets unavailable for the other gods. Bastet. Bastet in her earlier forms, the cat goddess Bastet was represented as a woman with the head of a lion or a wild cat. She took the less ferocious form of a domestic cat in the first millennium BCE. In later periods, she was often represented as a regal-looking seated cat, sometimes wearing rings in her ears or nose. Nephthys. Nephthys, or mistress of the house, was the goddess of the air. Since the sky is the head of the world and the head of the family, she also sometimes represented Lower Egypt along with the Ptah-Tenen. In Egyptian mythology, Nephthys was the daughter of Geb, earth, and Net, sky, and the sister of Isis. She was Seth's sister and wife and was the mother of the Anubis. If you like this video, then please subscribe to my channel.